Hey, hey, hey. Happy Tuesday. Come on in. Pull up a chair. Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, insanely enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everybody. Tonight is Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024. This is live show number 1113. If you're not overly familiar with the show, let me point out, super casual around here. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And then I will normally pontificate about a topic related to our hobby. And tonight I'll provide a little bit of a Gamehole Con 2024 recap, at least my experience hanging out there, kind of share what I was up to, some of the people I had an opportunity to chat with. It's all good. I'll even show you some of the things that are on the horizon for us to take a peek at and for me to review. Of course, I should also mention, when you're not watching videos here on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit gaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Also, because this is a live stream, that means there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. Yeah, I know. There are unusual commenters out there. Boxes, and you want to say howdy, feel free. By all means, chime in. I will do my best to respond. Maybe you've got a question, comment, by all means, fire away. So first out the gate tonight is Sean O'Donnell. Semper Buffo's with us, as is Cistern. Philip Lowe is popping on into chat. Now, they said they saw me at Gamehole Con. Briefly, they didn't say hi, though. They were too nervous. Lots of gaming celebrities there this year. I actually got to say hello and chat with a particular gaming celebrity. I'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show when I'm kind of doing my recap for Gamehole Con. But I had a good time. I had a lot of fun. It was very cool. Obviously enough, I wish my best friend Elliot Miller had been there because I was flying solo. So I only ended up doing 2 interviews. So one of them, funny enough, somebody at the Limithron exhibit area offered to shoot video with my phone while I recorded the audio, and then I synced it up. And then, sadly, when I interviewed Stephen Chenault over at Trollord Games, there wasn't anybody else around. So there wasn't anybody to even ask to hold the phone. So we just did audio. Got to say, it's a pretty funny, entertaining interview. If you have not checked it out, by all means, give it a listen. Give it a listen, because it was pretty fun. So, Semper Buffo asked if I saw the Magnetic Press booth showcasing Planet of the Apes. Well, we'll get into that. So, Tessie Trekkie says the fire department visits the chemistry department again. Time for them to go grab some coffee. Very cool. Very nice. All right, so we're going to jump right on into the news because you'll want to clear your calendars early next year for the Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo. Here's what I know. Taking place Thursday through Sunday, January 16th through the 19th, 2025, is the Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo, also known as Page 2. Page 2 will feature the finest in tabletop role-playing games, board games, and miniature gaming events. A dealer's area, guests from the gaming industry, a used flea market swap meets. So it's flea market slash swap meet. For non-commercial entities, you folks out there, an auction, seminars, and so much more. Now, the expo is going to feature more than 500 role-playing game, board game, and miniatures events, seminars and panels, more than 60 industry guests, a vendor hall, charity game auction, game flea market on Saturday, board game swap meet on Sunday, cosplay, costume contest, fantasy and science fiction novel, take a book, leave a book table, select seminars, games, and the auction's actually going to be live streamed. It's also the Gamer Assistance Program, which is a charitable initiative which helps gamers and gaming industry professionals in times of financial hardship. Now, the expected attendance of this expo is going to be about 1,300 to 1,500. You can purchase a gold badge, which is the only way you can get a 4-day badge. It includes early bird registration for individual events, a t-shirt, a Phil E. cheesesteak mimic. Gonna take a guess. It's probably similar to the mimic behind me. So might be like a dice box, right? You'll get a VIP lanyard, convention pin, and access to exclusive Thursday evening events. Now, you'll have to act fast. Those are available for $125. You'll be able to get the 3-day Friday, Saturday, Sunday pass for $70. And once again, this is taking place January 16th through the 19th, 2025. And it is Oak. I think it's, if I remember correctly, it's in Oak, Pennsylvania, which I do believe is right outside of Philadelphia. Yes, it's right outside Pennsylvania. That's why I just said it's Pennsylvania. Yeah, okay, Jeff. It's just outside Illinois, in Illinois. Duh. Jeez. Cistern says it's Oaks, Pennsylvania. Thank you very much for that clarification. So I had an opportunity to talk to, I believe it was Robert, who is, I don't necessarily know if they are in charge of the expo, but I guess they're one of the movers and shakers behind the expo. I also talked to Phil, who happens to watch the show and is also involved in this gaming expo too. Sounds kind of cool. Cistern says it is 20 miles northwest of Philly. Oh, okay. So Cistern said it's Ron. Ron is the organizer, and that's them. And Phil, how can you be both? Says, I'm Ron and Phil. Madness. So yes, there you go. Sharing some news about what sounds to be a pretty interesting gaming convention. I would say it's, as far as the attendance, you're right in the ballpark of Gary Con, right? And I will have something to say about Gary Con as well. I think Cistern is unfortunately having a mental break. They think they're Ron and Phil. It's a little scary. No, I'm just kidding. So yes, so he says it's Ron, the organizer, and I must have been saying Phil at the moment. He's like, oh, that's me. So there you have it. All right, let's talk about some role-playing game news, because the Shadow Dark campaign setting, Lyrillian the Lion, is entering its final days on Kickstarter. I've got the skinny from Antidote Games. Hail, fellow arcanists. I almost said anarchists. It's arcanists. Hello, fellow. Yes. Good going, Jeff. See, I take a few days off and it's like I can't read English. Hello, fellow anarchists. Hail, fellow arcanists. Antidote Games is excited that its flagship campaign setting, Lyrillian, designed exclusively for Shadow Dark and in close collaboration with the Shadow Dark community veterans through blood, sweat, and the haze of apothecary concoctions, are excited to officially launch their Kickstarter, although it launched a few weeks ago. Introducing Lyrillian the Lion, the first entry in a 3-part supplement for the Shadow Dark role-playing game rule set. Lyrillian the Lion will explore the foundations of the setting from the strife-ridden cityscape of Lyrillian, including the sprawl and noble district, to the monster-ridden countryside and turbulent seacoast. Lyrillian the Lion bursts at the seams with 4 new ancestries, 10 standalone adventures, new items, a host of terrifying and deadly new creatures, and a robust lore to drive beginner and veteran RPG enthusiasts alike, from foolhardy novice adventurers to level 10 heroes of fortune. This project is fully funded. Sadly, there is no video, because I would have liked to have seen a bit more of this. It does look pretty cool. Gotta say, it's got a nice, cool, Shadow Dark look to it. Anyway, this project is fully funded. You can reserve the first of these proposed 3 volumes in the series in hardcover. It's going to clock in at over 250 pages, and you can score that with the PDF for a $49 pledge, or score just the PDF for a $25 pledge through October 25th. Just happens to be my mom's birthday. Expected delivery on the PDF is actually this December, so it's pretty much done. Probably going to kind of brush up on the layout a little bit, maybe tweak here, tweak there. And the physical book is slated to arrive next March. Gotta say, I'm very happy to see this. And one of the reasons why, and it's funny, I was thinking about this over the weekend, and I'm considering maybe doing a topic on the show about this, where it's sort of like the latest hotness in role-playing games ends up not necessarily being so hot. And I mean that in a couple of ways. One, when they finally deliver a Kickstarter or what have you, it's not what people were expecting. Or it is something really good, like Shadow Dark, and then there's really no support for it, right? Because really, as far as the Arcane Library goes, there have been the Cursed Scroll issues. So there's 3 of those, and I understand that's supposed to be an annual thing. And that's kind of it. Everything else is sort of third party and not a ton of stuff coming out. So when I saw this, I was like, oh, hey, this looks kind of cool. Kind of cool. And maybe it kind of expands on the, I don't know, kind of wilderness adventuring, which we know Shadow Dark doesn't really have many rules for. In fact, I think it's a couple of pages devoted to it. Yeah, not too shabby. Not too shabby. All right, DB, Tessie Trekkie, and Kevin R. Smith are here with us in chat. Tessie Trekkie says, I love collecting RPG books. I'll never run, but will devour. And Sean O'Donnell says, your blanket forts have game book reinforcements. Moving right along, let's see if I can properly read this news piece. The Weird American West / horror role-playing game Weird Frontiers is the focus of a new bundle of holding. I swear, I almost bit my tongue there. I mean, literally bit my tongue, not, I'm biting my tongue. I almost bit my tongue talking there. So maybe I can't read this. I don't know. Anyway, Weird Frontiers has a new bundle of holding. Well, it's actually an old bundle of holding that's being resurrected. But I've got the deets on the deal. Trailhand. We've resurrected our October 2022 Weird Frontiers bundle featuring, you guessed it, Weird Frontiers from Stiff Whiskers Press, a standalone Lovecraftian horror Western tabletop role-playing game based on the Dungeon Crawl Classics role-playing game from Goodman Games. In an alternate 1865, cultists of Nyarlathotep brought on the 7 days of night to awaken long-dormant elder gods. Now heroes with extraordinary abilities stand against an ever-growing evil in a wounded country still recovering from the bloodiest war in American history. You can turn tail or take the fight to the night, and you ain't about to be called Yeller. Saddle your horses, clean them irons, because there's something slithering across the dark frontier, and it's dead set on making victuals out of you and your ragtag posse. And your little dog Toto, too. For just $5.95, you'll get all 3 titles in the starter collection, which has a retail value of $23, as DRM-free PDFs, including the massive 908-page Weird Frontiers RPG core book, the trail map, and the Weird Frontiers judges screen. Now, if you pay more than the current threshold price of $18.04, that was last night. I don't know. It probably went up a few cents by now. You'll level up and also get this Revival's entire bonus collection with 5 full-length Weird Frontier modules worth an additional $50, including Dig 3 Graves, the Malevolent 7, Nest of Snakes, Never Swallow the Worm, and Not So Fast, Billy Ray. These savings will run through October 30th. Now, we have a review of Weird Frontiers on thegaminggang.com. I did not review it, so it is a written review. But yes, that is one honkin' huge book. Over 900 pages. Tessie Trekkies talking about the simplest role-playing game system they've ever played. Roll a d6. 1 or 2 fail, 3 to 5 success, 6 homicidal garden gnomes appear and try to kill everyone. TB says, love this game, but it's a chonker. Launching today on BackerKit is the Adventure Arcs magazines from AAW Games. I've got the scoop. AAW Games, a leader in tabletop role-playing game content, is thrilled to announce the launch of its innovative Adventure Arc system and the upcoming Adventure Arc magazine, set to redefine storytelling in gaming. The Adventure Arc will provide game masters with a comprehensive toolkit of modular components compatible for 5e 2024, allowing for seamless integration into their campaigns or standalone play. What is an Adventure Arc? An Adventure Arc is a collection of uniquely designed building blocks, such as monsters, settings, dungeons, items, and quests, combined to create a cohesive narrative. Each arc can be enjoyed as a complete adventure or deconstructed for individual elements, empowering game masters to customize their players' experience. The building blocks of Adventure Arcs are distinct building blocks, and there are 8 of them. Each is color-coded to be easily recognizable. Surprise! Pink. Exclusive, ready-to-play, pre-generated characters for your players, audio soundtracks, new monsters, and more surprises. Setting, which is yellow. Detailed content, including regional history and settlements. Red is mini dungeons, a short adventure that ties into the overarching story or serves as a one-shot. Brown is tactical, Unique character backgrounds, magic items, spells, and equipment tailored to entice your players into deeper gameplay. Green is wilderness, survival rules, terrains, hazards, and camping essentials. Trek is purple, side quests featuring dangerous and fantastic locales. Orange are factions, so weave new organizations, cults, and factions into your campaign. And then lastly, we have Saga, blue, adventures that facilitate the advancement of the adventure arc. There is a short, I almost said Kickstarter, it's on BackerKit. Almost said there's a short Kickstarter video. No, it's a short BackerKit video. So let's give it a watch.
Think of an adventure as an assembly of different colored toy building bricks. When assembled, all of the building bricks make up an adventure. When deconstructed, the individual pieces can easily be mined by GMs for their own games. Use what you want and simply discard the rest. There are 8 unique pieces of an adventure arc. Saga, the blue brick, adventures that facilitate the advancement of the adventure arc and act as a foundation. Faction, the orange brick, weave new organizations, cults, and factions into your campaign. Trek, the purple brick, side quests and excursions featuring dangerous and fantastic locales. Wilderness, the green brick, survival rules for a variety of terrain types, hazards, foraging, hunting, and camping. Tactical, the brown brick, unique character backgrounds, magic items, spells, and equipment tailored to entice your players into deeper gameplay. Mini dungeon, the red brick, a short adventure that ties into the story, but can also be played as a one-shot. Setting, the yellow brick, detailed content including regional history and settlements. Surprise! The pink brick, exclusive ready-to-play pre-generated characters for your players, audio soundtracks, new monsters, and more surprises. There are 32 bricks in each arc, 4 of each color. Play together or plug and play. This is your game. You should be able to build it the way you want. AAW Games is publishing a new premium magazine, 88 pages, perfect bound, with a beautiful soft touch cover with foil accents and premium coated paper. Issue number 1, The Red Tree of Grudges.
A sad homecoming. A family on the brink, between powerful grudges and forgiveness. The year's first frost has come to the frontier town of Rybalka. At the cultural crossroads of the Klavekian Empire and native Vitmarder territory, Mayor Igor Leonid, a redeemed Klavekian father, Shalaya, a mighty Vitmarder mentor, Anastasia Leonid, a daughter returned, a magical prodigy that finds herself bereft of her mother. Out there in the cold, grief, confusion, and rage awaken ancient magics. What starts small quickly spirals out of control. Can the adventurers heal old wounds? Or can Anastasia's ire only be sated by blood, by the darksome vengeance offered by the Red Tree of Grudges?
You can reserve a copy of the first issue of Adventure Arc, the Red Tree of Grudges, in print and PDF for a $29 pledge. You could score just the magazine alone for a $19 pledge, or grab just the PDF for an $11 pledge through November 19th. Now, expected delivery is the first quarter of next year. And I have to say, which looks pretty impressive, and it's Adventure a Week. I've shared reviews from Adventure a Week before. In fact, it opened up the video by saying, oh, from the makers of Rise of the Drow, which is excellent. That is a fantastic campaign. Very nicely done. I also shared the first volume of the mini dungeon adventure book. I have the second volume on the horizon as far as a first look. I'm going to have my review of that first volume very shortly. But as you can see, this is just some examples of some of the layouts in that. Looks pretty nice. Looks pretty nice. And it's a physical magazine. It's not going, as far as I understand, I don't think it's zine size. I think it's magazine size. And I think the issues are supposed to clock in at about 85 to 90 pages. Curiouser and curiouser. On to our last news piece. Cubicle 7 Games is now taking pre-orders for the Warhammer 40,000 roleplay Imperium Maledictum Inquisition Player's Guide. Go ahead, say that 5 times fast. Go ahead, I'll wait. It's not going to happen. Regardless, I've got the lowdown. Heed the call. Join the holy orders of the God Emperor's Inquisition. The Macarian sector is in peril on all sides and from within. Heretic, demon, and Xenos threaten to destroy what the Emperor and his servant, Lord Solar Macarius, have built. As the Imperium's forces take to the battlefield, it falls to the holy orders of the Inquisition. No one expects the holy orders of the Inquisition to wage war on their, to wage their own, I should say, secretive war. Wielding ultimate authority, Inquisitors and their acolytes face corruption and damnation at every turn. They must be exacting and merciless in their vigil to survive and preserve the soul of the Imperium. Though the doom they seek to avert is inevitable, it might yet be delayed, and only the Inquisition can hope to stave off the darkness that threatens to consume the entire galaxy. The Inquisition guides bring the holy orders of the Emperor's Inquisition to life at your gaming table. This first half of an exciting 2-book set for Warhammer 40K roleplay Imperium Maledictum, the Inquisition Player's Guide lets you craft intimidating Inquisitors and their loyal acolytes and equip them with everything from ominous demon weapons to loyal cyber familiars. Prepare yourself well for the thankless task of facing the enemies of the Imperium, for every assignment might very well be your last. Should you survive, your only reward will be a litany of fresh horrors to face. But if not you, then who? Create Inquisitor patrons from the Ordo Hereticus, Melius, and Xenos, granting them powerful boons and worrisome liabilities. Create your acolyte and outfit them with a host of new war gear, from iconic Inquisition weaponry to subtle tools of espionage, as well as useful skills, cunning talents, and devastating psychic powers. Learn about the Inquisition you are bound to serve, its presence in the Macarian sector, and everything a fresh acolyte needs to know to survive long enough to be useful to their Inquisitor. Train your own cyber familiars to aid in your missions. Learn to wield your Inquisitor's limitless authority well, as the subtly mechanic allows players to track and benefit from discreet and clever role-playing. Additional group, individual, and long-term endeavors to aid players in their investigations and prepare them for their next mission. The Inquisition Player's Guide requires the Imperium Maledictum core rulebook in order to play. It brings the focus in on Inquisition-themed adventures, adding new elements to your ongoing campaign, or setting you up for a new adventure. The Inquisition GM's Guide is going to complete the 2-book set, and it will be the perfect addition for a game master looking to create the ultimate Inquisition campaign. Right now, you can actually pre-order the hardcover with PDF for $39.99. The PDF is available now. It is over at DriveThruRPG for $19.99. The hardcover is expected to ship in the second or third quarter of next year. So we are seeing some Imperium Maledictum expansion. Kind of cool. So it's good to see that, and it's good to see that the PDF is available right now as well. I am a little surprised that we are not seeing that GM guide at the same time. I would have thought maybe they would have released them both at the same time. I guess you're just basically getting the player facing character creation and gear and things like that right now. So pretty nice. Pretty nice. Keithulu and Mike, as well as Chris Lundgren, are popping on into chat. Chris is with his wife as well as his cockatiel buddy. Howdy, y'all. So Chris asks if anyone's having Halloween parties using themed board games. This last weekend, they had a party, played lots of games. They played Van Helsing and barely won. I would think, what the hell's the Dracula one that was from Fantasy Flight Games? It was originally Games Workshop. It's one of our earliest reviews, too. Trail of Dracula, something like that. I reviewed it. It was cool, but I can't remember the title of it. Because it's been years since I played it. It's probably been at least 10, maybe 12 years since Fury of Dracula. Thank you, Chris. And yeah, we had a good time. Thought it was pretty good. Pretty good. I still remember the old Steve Jackson games when it came in a Ziploc bag, Undead, with I'm trying to remember the artist's name. His first name was Dennis. I think he was French or Canadian. And he always did the top-down artwork for Car Wars. I think it might have been I think his name might have been Dennis LeBeau, something along those lines. And they had, it was basically the Dracula player would hide their Dracula, on the board, and there were all these counters and stuff. It was actually kind of cool. It was kind of cool. Had some issues. It wasn't completely ironed out, but it was like a $3 game. Of course, Lundgren says they've got that. They've yet to ever play it. Probably haven't even cut the counters apart. I don't know. One of the cool things about it was you also could have Sherlock Holmes and Watson in the game as part of the Vampire Hunters. I thought that was kind of cool. Kind of cool. All right. So that is it for the news tonight. Of course, I was just talking about Drive-Thru RPG. Don't forget, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you're going to go visit, say, Drive-Thru RPG, Storyteller's Vault, Wargame Vault even, pop on by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banners. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a tiny percentage of that sale. I get 5% of that sale. But truthfully, those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do go a long way to keeping thegaminggang.com around. And I should also mention there is the Halloween sale going on right now. And just about everything is on sale. Sadly, it doesn't look like Drive-Thru RPG is going to do any sort of Halloween goodies. So up till last year, we used to have the annual kind of scavenger hunt, but the web pages were always the same. So once you knew what web pages, they would hide the little thing to click on, the little image to click on to take you to the freebie. It was super easy. But sadly, last year they stopped. Now, I seem to recall last year they did have a page of free stuff, which was along the lines of what they had done before. You just didn't have to search around and hunt it down. But I'm not seeing anything like that this year. So kind of sucks. Kind of sucks. But anyway, I should also mention, if you like this video, if you like the video, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can always swing on by paypal.me/thegaminggang to make a small donation. Hell, buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff, Maynard, as we like to say. You know, if you're one of my friends that I went to high school with, it's one of our kind of inside gags. Good stuff, Maynard. But there are some folks out there who swing on by paypal.me/thegaminggang and make not small donations. And sorry to say, there are a couple of folks who just recently made donations. I forgot to jot down their names. I will do that for tomorrow's show. Sorry. Anyway, it doesn't matter if you're using the banner ads for the One Bookshelf sites, or if you stop on by paypal.me/thegaminggang, or you're telling your friends about the website, telling your friends about the channel, checking out the show, things like that. Anything you do to help as far as spread the word, it's cool too. Very cool too. All right. Anyway, Agile Monk has popped on in. Agile Monk's one of the fine folks who pops on over to paypal.me/thegaminggang. Said they talked to Stephen and Chuck today about my interview at Gamehole Con. Aha. I wonder how that went over. I only got to say hello to Chuck for not even a minute because he was running some Castles and Crusades in one of the halls. So I trekked over there because I wanted to say hello. And I just popped over and said hi to him. And that was about it. That was about it because I wasn't going to be an asshole. You know, hey, I know you folks are signed up here for this game session, but hell with you guys. I'm just going to pop on in here and talk to Chuck for a while. No. Anywho, so Chris Leonard said, anyone having video freezing? If you're having any issues, it is going to be on YouTube's side. Everything looks okay. Everything's looking all right. I got to say that my internet has been pretty crappy lately. I'm going to have to take a look at my router because we have, it's, 2.4G and then 5G. And the 2.4G speed tests are awful, which they hadn't been in the past. And then the 5G tests are all right. And they're not fantastic. I mean, they're not blowing the doors off, but it's like 10 times faster than what I've been getting on the regular band. So I'm kind of wondering if there's a problem with the router. But then again, it could always be my ISP. Because, you know, they're always, Keith Olu says, step down the quality on the video. Yes, that always helps. So as far as how that goes, Tessie Trekkie asked, what cut does PayPal take? PayPal takes from paypal.me. If I remember correctly, it's 2.5 or 3%. So that's one of the reasons why I always tell people, hey, you know, if you want to make a donation, as much as I really do appreciate people doing the super chats, because Google takes like half. So it's like, ugh. So if you were to donate $5, Google takes $2.50 of that. So Now watch the quality of this video get real choppy. Mike says sometimes it helps to forget the Wi-Fi from computers, unplug the router, plug it back in, restart the computer, and reconnect Wi-Fi. Just so you know, I worked for Skype for a few years. So I think I've mentioned that before when I was out in Arizona. I worked for Skype back before Microsoft bought them. So my bosses were out of Europe. But I'm pretty good at connectivity issues. But, it is true that, sometimes routers start to crap out. It happens. Shanbot V42 is with us in chat, as is Gleeman RX. Good to see you. So let's see. Chris Lundgren's asking about Planet of the Apes. Man, I swear, I think Chris Lundgren is being secretly paid by Magnetic Press Play to talk about the Planet of the Apes role-playing game. Or I'm sorry, the official title is the role-playing game of the Planet of the Apes. Yes. Oddly enough, a lot of ladybugs flying around past few days because it's been unseasonably warm. And there are quite a few of them. I just saw one land near the camera. It's not on the camera. It is near the camera. Hopefully we don't suddenly have, it's fine. It's just a ladybug. It's not a huge deal. Yep. I'm watching it right now. It's strolling along over where the like cable for the output plugs in. And now it's on a hand strap. It hasn't landed on me, so it's not going to be good luck. Anyway, tonight I am going to talk about Gamehole Con 2024, a little bit, what I did, hanging out, give you some impressions I had of the convention. Although the reality was I was only there a couple of days. I ended up coming back home because I'm flying solo, right? And it wasn't like it had a huge exhibitors area. So even like the first afternoon, I was kind of done popping around, introducing myself to people and catching up with other people. And then some of them were like, oh, come back. Yeah, if you're going to be here tomorrow, come back tomorrow. We'll chat a little more in depth, stuff like that. Shoo. Anyway, Chris Lundgren's trying to backpedal on his Planet of the Apes. Yeah, I get it. Chris asks, where's the convention? It was in Madison, Wisconsin. So it was about 2 hours, 15 minutes from where I live to, drive up there. So pretty cool. So we're going to talk about that in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
Of utmost importance to every drive-in theater patron is this parched, dry area located at the back of the throat. One of the best treatments we know is a frosty, fresh, bubbling, cold drink, such as you can find at this theater's refreshment center. And we have all of your family's favorite flavors. So for the dry, parched area in the back of your throat, visit your refreshment center for an ice-cold drink. A treat and a treatment.
It's refreshment time, folks.
Taste that beats the others cold. Pepsi pours it on. Taste that beats the others cold.
And now meet the star of our show. Symbol of a treat that quality made famous. America's most famous ice cream treat. Eskimo pie. Creamy, delicious ice cream made even more exciting with smooth, rich chocolate coating. And wearing the label of quality, known the world over. Eskimo pie, the treat you know is tops because it carries its pledge of quality right on the back of the bag. Be sure you save the bags for valuable premiums. Get famous Eskimo pie at our refreshment stand now. It's America's anytime taste treat. Finest ice cream, finest chocolate. It's delicious.
This machine will make you want a cup of Wilkins coffee.
Not me. I'll take mine with cream and sugar.
Rob? Vic, what are you doing here?
Listen to me. This paper company, the Pitney Mills Paper Company, bought the timber rights to 100,000 acres of forest in Maine. The Indians claim the land is theirs. I'm a doctor, and you know how to deal with human beings. The Indians are angry, and so's the lumber company. Everybody's ready to kill each other.
People start disappearing, and the Indians spread the word that they were taken by Katahdin. That's one of their legends.
I'm here to study the environment.
My people are violently ill, and this has nothing to do with alcohol. My people are fishermen. Their lives are clean.
I've seen children born dead. Born deformed.
The end of this forest is the end of my people.
Is that from Mercury?
It was created by man. And it will mindlessly, mercilessly kill every living thing it meets.
Good old prophecy. Yes. I will tell you, I have not seen that movie. Nope. So the reason why I've never seen that movie is because in Stephen King's Danse Macabre, or Macabre, however you like to pronounce it, he basically gives you the whole story. He gives you the whole plot, everything. The surprise at the end, all of that. And it was like, okay. Now, granted, I think I first read Danse Macabre. I think that came out in like 80 or so. So I think it was like 82. Because in 79, I wouldn't have been able to go see Prophecy anyway, because I wasn't even in high school. But I remember reading Danse Macabre, and he talks about it, and he basically tells you the whole story. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I guess I don't need to see that then. Plus, he also talked about how bad the special effects were of the mutant bear thing. So, yep. So there's some discussion about Troll Lord Games and their editing bugbears that they have had throughout, I believe, the lifetime of the company. That was a topic of conversation, by the way. It was not a part of the interview that I did with Stephen, but that has been part of the conversation I've had with the Troll Lords before. So don't think that I have not broached that topic. See, because the funny thing is that you may not realize this, but even if I don't ask, because there's some questions I'll ask off the record because I'm curious about, and I will, point stuff out. So, yeah. So that was something I mentioned. So Agile Monk said, Steven said he enjoyed the Gamehole Con TLG interview. I'm not sure who TLG is. Even though it was audio only. Funny enough, too, we were doing the interview. Reason why there aren't more interviews is because a lot of the people who I was chatting with were solo at their booths. So, I mean, they weren't always solo, but they tended to be solo when I would walk in or walk over to them, And I was doing the interview with Steven, and we're just standing there, and I have these wireless microphones that have like I put the little puff ball on it. It's like, for wind. And because I use lavalier mics plugged into these wireless microphones, but I can record on them too. Oh, Troll Lord Games, duh. What am I thinking? Sorry, Agile Monk. I don't know. Chris Lundgren's asking, where am I getting the movie trailers from now that the Internet Archive is down? I never get movie trailers from Internet Archive, ever. Never. I did get my old-time radio shows that I use for the Spooktaculars. Some of them I uploaded to, well, not some of them, the vast majority of them I uploaded to good old archive.org. So people can't enjoy the old, Spooktacular episodes. Agile Monk with the super chat of $4.99. Thank you very kindly for that. Quiet Guy Kept to Himself is in chat with us. Good to have you on board. Might be a first time visit in our chat, our live chat. Said, nice to meet me at Gen Con. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I don't know what, I saw TLG and I thought TLC. And I was like, wait a second, what? I don't know why TLC jumped in my head. I don't watch that channel. I may have watched it back when they actually had like educational programming on it, but not for years and years. Is it even around still? I think it is. Isn't that where they had that Honey Boo Boo shit? I think so. Anyway, so I was talking with Steven and somebody came up. Who knew Steven, right? And they didn't realize that we were recording an interview, because how would you know? It just looks like two guys standing there talking who have like a little thing, because there's no camera, no cameraman, nothing. So, sorry to say, the person thought I was pissed. And I certainly wasn't. In fact, I started laughing about it. And Steven and I were both laughing about it. And Steven had said, oh, man, I should have, flagged you to say, oh, wait, we're recording. I was like, so what? Big deal. I'll just edit it out, And I thought it was pretty funny, because it's like, how would anybody know? It just looked like a couple guys standing there talking about something. There you go. But, and you couldn't tell if you listened to that interview. You have no idea that somebody walked up and we stopped the interview there. Easy peasy. So anyway, so let's talk a little bit about Gamehole Con. So I drove up there, and I went up there Wednesday night, and I picked up my badge. And then there was a reception at a nearby, I think it was Sheridan, if I remember correctly. And I popped over there, walked in. I think it was like 8 o'clock. And I had picked up some beer and put it, in the motel room. And I was only 5 minutes away. So that was cool. I like that. And I peeked around. I didn't see anybody I recognized. So I was like, I just picked up some beer. I might as well just go drink some beers, hang out in the room, go grab some dinner because I hadn't eaten yet. So pop over there on Thursday, and a couple of things that I thought were pretty cool. Didn't have to pay for parking. So I don't know who plays in the arena that was next door. I'm going to take a guess. It's University of Wisconsin. That's my guess. That's who's playing there. So this was an exhibit, kind of like convention center next door. So I was actually pretty surprised by how big it was. I was expecting something really small. Even though I looked at the exhibitors list, I've been to little conventions before that you see the exhibitors list and you see like the exhibitors map, and you're like, oh wow, it's like quite a lot going on there. And then you get there and you're like, where is it? Are you guys hiding it? What's going on? So anyway, I started bouncing around, just taking a peek around. And I was really surprised by how many people came up and started talking to me. Really surprised. Because when people come up and they're like, oh, hey, Jeff. Or sometimes it's like, oh, hey, the gaming gang. I get that a lot. I'm kind of taken aback because my assumption is nobody knows who the hell I am. That is the assumption. Now, if you're a publisher, yeah, you might know. So Quiet Guy kept to himself says, I need one of those big fake 70s boom mics. We have a boom mic down here. There's no microphone in it, but it's got like that big capsule. Because, when you see the boom mic and stuff, a lot of times you see it's just like almost like a big black pill. That's the capsule that protects the microphone inside. I have one of those. It's not mine. It was my brother's, because my brother did some film work and stuff like that. And it's just left over from him. So, but yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. So that's pretty wild. Shanbot V42 says, it felt like that with Brian Collins at the Vast Grim booth. Every time you're about to get the interview going, he ended up solo or getting swamped with con goers. You were nothing but nice to all. I'm me. That's all I can tell you. I am just me. Funny enough, it was every time I was going to try to interview Brian, I forget the name of his company that does Vast Grim. Every time, because he was standing there and I think it was his son who was with him. Every time it looked like I was going to be able to, oh yeah, now I think I might have an opportunity to do an interview. Someone else would come up and start talking. It's like, oh, okay. It's like, all right. All righty. Anywho, so who was the first company I went to talk to? I saw Rick Meintz from Chaosium. Chaosium was there. Chaosium Inc., I should say. And I popped over and I said hello. And Rick sprained his ankle. So Shanbot V42 says it's Creature Curations. I thought it was Creature something, and I was like, wait a second, is that the name of the company? Or because we did have some exhibitors at Gamehole Con, which were like kind of like umbrella companies. So Indie Press Revolution was one. Anywho. So, yes, I got to talk to Brian. I talked to Brian a few times. Just chatting, just saying hi. We will get to see some Vast Grimm stuff. So I do believe that we will have an opportunity to take a peek at Vast Grimm and shoot some video, do a review of that. He was somebody who was not familiar with me, and that's fine. I'm not one of these guys who's like, oh, hey, don't you know who I am? And then I feel weird when I'm talking to somebody who doesn't, isn't familiar with the gaming gang. And I'll say like, well, I'm in my 15th year of covering the hobby. And they give me this look like, really? How come I haven't heard of you then? It's kind of how I feel sometimes. It's like, I'm like, well, I'm not one of these guys that comes like walking up going, hey, give me all this stuff. Give me. I'm so-and-so. Haven't you seen my Facebook page? Yeah, that kind of stuff. So anyway, I did not do an interview with Chaosium. And then funny enough, I saw Jeff Richard, who is the head honcho on the RuneQuest line and other stuff. He works on other games for Chaosium Inc. And it was funny. I meant to say hello to him because he came up to me at Gen Con to say hello. He was with his wife, and I recognized his wife, and I was like, I know this person is a game designer. Who is it? And he's talking. I'm like, yeah. And what are you going to do? Yeah. And, you try to do the old look at the badge deal, right? And almost every time that badge is always turned around. And then, of course, here at Gamehole Con, they didn't have your name on the badge. They had my name on the badge because I had a different kind of badge, and it just said media. It was actually not as cool as the actual convention badge. So anyway, so at Gen Con, he talked to me for about 5 minutes. He and his wife talked to me for about 5 minutes. And when he walked away is when I realized, damn it, that's Jeff Richard from Chaosium Inc. Dummy. Shit. So I saw him. I was going to say hi to him, but I did not have an opportunity to say hello. So nothing cooking as far as talking with anybody from Chaosium Inc. I did, of course, I went over and talked to the Troll Lords. So I I got to meet Grace, their relatively new marketing person. So I got to meet her in person. So that was cool. And then, of course, I set up the interview with Steven, and I got goodies from Troll Lord Games. In fact, I'm going to show you some of the goodies that I've got that I got when I was at Gamehole Con. So I got the 20th anniversary reprint edition of the Player's Handbook for Castles and Crusades. I've already shot a first look video. So stay tuned. I'm going to put this up later on tonight. It'll go live. So if you want to check that out, I'm not going to be reviewing this simply because this is just a collector's item. Could you run Castles and Crusades from this? Of course. I mentioned that in the video, but this is just sort of celebrating 20 years of Castles and Crusades. And it is signed by David Chenault, Stephen Chenault, and Mac Golden. And this is limited to 2,000. The print run was 2,000. And I understand when I was at Gamehole Con, I was told there are fewer than 300 of these left. So big thank you. They gave me this. I also got, and I can reveal this because many of the backers have their copies in transit, but I've got Amazing Adventures. So this is the Player's Handbook. We're going to be diving on into this. Now, it is my understanding that This has got the same layout as the reforged Castles and Crusades. In fact, I'm going to take a peek inside. Yes, it is certainly different than standard Castles and Crusades. So, Kevin R. Smith says, that's what my copy looks like. I believe it's the third printing. Got it years ago. This shouldn't be. Well, I'm going to find out. Hold on a minute there, Baba Louie. Forwards from October 2023. Maybe Kevin's talking about the Daryl asks, who's the artist on the cover? Who did the cover art? Tell you in a minute. I think it's the gent who did the homage covers. Let's see. All right, where's the credit page, folks? Did I just pass that by? I know this is such good content, right? Looking at Jeff looking down at a book. Jason Walton. So I got this, and I also have the Chronicle Keeper's Guide. It's actually a pretty thin book. I was kind of surprised by that. So stay tuned. I will have coverage of these. I'll do first look videos. I might do a first look video of both the books together and then review them separately. But had a really good time talking with Stephen. I didn't realize that he's as funny as he is. So, I mean, I knew he had a sense of humor. Don't get me wrong. We were joking around a lot before we got like the interview going, and then after the interview was over. So, and then there's some good humor in the interview as well. So I always try to make it entertaining. So I got to meet Luke Stratton from Limithron. So that was cool. Did an interview with Luke, and as you already know, I shared that interview. And Fenn was kind enough to hold the phone for me and shoot the video. And yes, I synced that up. Yes, I did. And I got the bestiary. So this is the Pirate Borg bestiary. It's 4.5E. So I guess people wanted to check out the monsters and that from Pirate Borg 4.5E. So it is in this. So I'm going to share coverage of this. And they've also printed up their naval battle rules 4.5E. And I thought, well, that's kind of cool. Talked a little bit about this in the interview, but just give you kind of a peek inside this. I have not looked inside this, but looks pretty cool. But yes, Luke had told me that they had been asked quite often if they would convert the naval rules, which are really simple, to 5E, because of course, I guess it would now be 5.5, right? So I believe Neon Lords RPG is with us. Very nice, very nice. Because yes, we got to chat. It is I'm trying to remember the name of the company. Something Savage Systems. Come on, Jeff, you can do it. You can do it. No, I can't. It's SSS. So yes, we had an opportunity to chat as well. So anyway, so I popped over, talked to Luke, then did the interview, and then it's kind of funny because we took a picture, and he said, "Oh, come on, let's we got to do it pirate like or whatever." I was like, oh, "Okay." So that picture is the thumbnail for that interview. I also went and I chatted with Magnetic Press Play, and they knew who I was. because you may recall I covered Carbon Gray. They sent me the box set of Carbon Gray, which was their first game that they were doing they've got a modified West End Games D6 system that is going to power their games. And I had asked, I said, when I was chatting, because it was funny, I was talking to the one gentleman, I can't remember his name. He didn't have a card, but we were chatting a bit, and I had mentioned that I'm afraid he was talking about something, and I said, "Oh yeah, I've shared news about the Planet of the Apes Kickstarter." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I'm Game Media." And he said, "Oh, I know who you are." I was like, "Oh, you do? Okay." So I have a copy of the Quick Start, which they printed up. There we go. Thank you, Neon Lords. Super Savage Systems. Why couldn't I remember Super? I'm old. I'm old. Yes. Can't remember Super. So those of you who are curious about the role-playing game of the Planet of the Apes, I've already shot the first look video. So it is done. It is in the can. It is edited. It is good to go. I think I will release it probably Friday or Saturday. And it was pretty interesting because it was a great conversation. And it was a lot of inside baseball stuff. And it was a lot of stuff that was, off the record. But I was told what the adventure was that they were running people through at Gamehole Con. And it sounded like a blast. And of course, it was like, well, it's not going to be published because, they have to run everything by Disney. And they said, probably can't get it approved by Disney, but it sounded really cool. So throughout the conversation, I was starting to feel like I was Chris Lundgren going, man, I'm excited for this Planet of the Apes role-playing game because it sounds like they've got a good amount of content planned. And it's got nothing to do with the other Planet of the Apes games that are out there crowdfunding, which probably are not licensed. And I had asked, I said, are you getting feedback about that? That, there's other Planet of the Apes games out there. People are asking if, hey, are you affiliated with those guys? He's like, yeah. And we keep telling him, no, we have nothing to do with them. That they are licensed to do the Magnetic Press Play is licensed to do the game and everything else. And I guess Disney didn't even know that this other company was doing a game. But it's kind of weird because it's in different countries. It's kind of strange as far as licensing goes. So you could license an IP like, say, use an example like Robotech, right? Because Robotech's bounced around. And you could license Robotech for games in Europe, and you might go through somebody, and then to do the same game in the US, you got to go get the rights through somebody else. So it's pretty wild. Semper Buffo says they're all in on the Kickstarter. I'll tell you what, just from looking through the Quick Start, which, as I mentioned in the video, is available as a PDF, and it's pay what you want. So if you want to pay nothing, you can do that. Publishers have no issue with that. That's why they make it pay what you want. But just from taking a peek through here, and it's a pretty deep dive as far as the first look, because I figured, well, for one, the PDF is essentially free. So it's not as if I'm like sharing something like, oh, goodness, get the Pinkertons out. Jeff's sharing stuff. This looks really cool. I got to say, I'm super impressed. And I'll tell you what, the two gentlemen from Magnetic Press Play, they certainly seem like they are on top of things. Really. Well, yeah, I did the video for Carbon Gray. That was really impressive, considering that was the first game release that they had put out. So also went and stopped by and was chatting with, oh my gosh, trying to remember. Is his name Brian? No, I don't think so. So I was chatting with Neon Lords RPG. You know, the fine fellow from Super Savage Systems. And I just happen to have a copy of Neon Lords of the Toxic Wasteland. And I think this is a certain edition, which kind of threw me off when I was putting together, because I have not shot video of this yet. But I was putting my graphics and stuff. It's a Total Carnage edition. Yes. And they have a Kickstarter on the horizon for kind of a roller derby-ish game that's in this same setting. I have to point out that so Cistern says it's Brian. Is it? Did I remember it right? Because the thing is, I'm awful with names. I have to meet somebody at least twice to remember their name. So it's sort of like so he says, you're right, it is another Brian. Okay, cool. What the hell's my name again? So we got to chat for a bit. So very nice gentleman. Of course, he's right here in chat, so it's not like I'm going to talk shit about him with him right in chat. Is he still here? Is he gone? I'm teasing. Everybody knows the only publisher I talk shit about is Steven over at Roll for Combat. I'll talk shit about him. Oh, hey, Steven from Roll for Combat's with us in chat. Steven knows I just joke around. It's all in good fun. So yes, so this looks really cool. And I've got kind of a soft spot for Gamma Worldish role-playing games. You know, funny enough, although I like Dungeon Crawl Classics, and I thought Mutant Crawl Classics was okay. If you're curious, check out my review of that. But weirdly enough, I'm not so big into Gonzo, like super Gonzo. But when it comes to like Gamma Worldish sort of things, I'm far more open. I don't know why. Just like Mutant Year Zero. You know, Mutant Year Zero probably wouldn't necessarily be up my alley if it was from like another company. It's from Free League Publishing. We know it's, you know, quality stuff. So very cool. I thought that was pretty wild. So we're going to get to check this out. I also stopped and talked to, if memory serves me, it's Brandon from Wet Ink Games. So if you aren't familiar with Wet Ink Games, they're the home of, what is it? Good Doggo, or Who's a Good Doggo, which was nominated for an Emmy Award for, if I remember right, I think it's Best Free Game. They also have a couple of card games. Well, they had one new board game which came out, but I think most people know them for Never Going Home. And we chatted a bit about it. I knew a little bit about this, but not a ton. I know the premise. And as I was talking to Brandon, I had mentioned that, for one, I was very surprised how much content they've got for this. And that I kind of had the feel that setting-wise, it might share similar beats to a War Transformed from Osprey Games, which you may recall I did a review of that. It is a miniatures game, but it's the same sort of alternate sort of World War I, and that has more like folk horror and things like that going on in it. And I had mentioned to Brandon, I said, hey, I know a lot of people out there were really interested with a War Transformed, but it's probably going to be another one of these one and done from Osprey Games, which, sad to say, is the case with a lot of their releases. Of course, that doesn't stop anybody from going to Drive-Thru RPG. In fact, I had an opportunity to speak with the designer of Jackals. There was somebody else who came up to say hello to me. And I had asked, I said, what's going on? I said, you're one of the only designers who's gotten a second book out of Osprey Games outside of like Joseph A. McCullough and Frostgrave, Stargrave, stuff like that. And I said, so, what's cooking? What's going on? I said, because I know a lot of people really like Jackals. I liked it. I gave it a good review score. And we might be seeing some stuff on the horizon through Drive-Thru RPG, because he's able to release other stuff that doesn't have to go through Osprey Games. Because I know Joseph A. McCullough does that too. In fact, what is Rangers of something deep? He's got quite a bit of content out for that. That's not the core book. That wasn't through Osprey Games. So, and there's quite a lot of releases for that, a lot of content for that. So we're going to get to take a peek at Never Going Home. So I will have a review of this, and we might see other stuff from Wet Ink Games. So it is Wet Ink Games, right? It's not Wet Ink Press. No, it's Wet Ink Games. That's what I thought. And then I was chatting with some folks who were representing Indie Press Revolution. And they had copies of Chew, the role-playing game core book there, which I know some folks are curious about. I took a peek through it, looked pretty good. But they have like a lot of different stuff. Like they have like, what is it? Fabula Ultima, which I've shared news about. And they had quite a few different things that I've shared news of. But I have never actually had an opportunity to check out. And they weren't really familiar with the gaming gang. They weren't familiar with myself, which is fine. I don't take that personally. Don't you know who I am? But anyway, they said, hey, we'll give you a copy of Broken Tales to review. And got to say, this looks very unique. I did already shoot a video of this. So I've got loads of stuff coming, gang, because you already saw I had a bunch of stuff show up. I've got a bunch of stuff from Exalted Funeral. I just got the latest shipment from Paizo. So the Paizo preview should be up this weekend because those aren't hitting stores until the 30th anyway. So I've got a few days. But the premise of Broken Tales is that the players are villains from fairy tales. And a little boy made a wish and he was tricked by some evil, I don't know, Satanish character into doing something that he shouldn't have done. So his wish was for the villains of fairy tales to be forgiven, have a new life, something like that, right? So now they do in our world, sort of. It's in 18th century Europe, but it's mythical and things like that. But the thing is, because the villains are no longer necessarily villains, the heroes are now evil. But the thing is, as far as I was told, is there is no redemption arc for the villains. The villains are still villains. So eventually they will end up reverting back to their villainous ways. So I thought, wow, that's pretty interesting. I want to say this is out of Italy. I think the publisher, The World Anvil, is out of Italy. So yeah, so stay tuned. I will have that. Then I had an opportunity to talk with Jess from Thunderworks Games. You might remember not too long ago, I reviewed Role Player. I know, talk about late to the party, right? And Jess had reached out and said, hey, so do you want to do an interview at Gen Con or are you going to be at Gamehole Con? And I said, I think I'm going to be at Gamehole Con. And I guess it's kind of a local convention for the folks at Thunderworks Games. So I was like, yeah, cool, we'll do there. So I had an opportunity to meet her. And, you know, one of the things I love about this hobby, and if you like chat with me at a convention, I tell people this quite often. You've heard, I'm sure if you follow the show, you've heard me say this. But I love this hobby for the people, not necessarily the games. The people are what sell me on this hobby. And I know that's not the case with everybody. I mean, there are folks out there, it's like, I don't care about players. All I care about is the games. It's like, you know, I tend to chat with publishers and designers and things like that. And kind of, I always refer to it as inside baseball. I love that stuff. Now, I love the games too, don't get me wrong, but she was such a cool person. And it was funny because I had never met her. And within about 2 minutes of starting to talk with her, it was like talking with somebody you'd known for years. And we were kidding around. And because something that kind of throws people sometimes is that I kind of kid around in my interviews. And we did not get a chance to do an interview. But right away, we were, you know, joking and stuff like that. So really, really nice. Actually, everybody I talked to at Gamehole Con was super nice. But she really stood out because she wasn't overly familiar with the gaming gang before she sent me Role Player. And she sent me home with the Monsters and Minions expansion for Role Player. And she said that, you know, this was really her favorite. She thought this was the expansion you needed to have for Role Players. So she gave me a copy of this. She gave me a copy of Cartographers, which I've heard really good things about. I believe this is solo. I think this is solitaire. At least this first release is solitaire. I'm sure because I know there's expansions out there. I'm sure they expanded it out to multiple players because I know I've shared some news pieces about Cartographer expansions. Then Stone Spine Architects, which is the game release they had at Origins. Now, there was kind of a cyberpunk hacking game that I guess was their Gen Con release. And I had mentioned, I said, seems kind of puzzly, seems kind of abstract. That's not really my crowd. It's not really my kind of game. I mean, there's some abstract games I've liked, but still. So we will also see, I guess, in the future, we're going to see Role Player Adventure, which is, I don't know if you're familiar with it. It is like a box like this big. And it was funny. She was going to give me a copy of it. And she said, oh, she's like, she had mentioned, she's like, yeah, I think I'll send you home with that. And she's like, oh, wait, I think I only have like 3 copies of that. I was like, don't worry about it. But I am very interested in it because it's sort of a hybrid role-playing game board game. And looked pretty interesting. And then, of course, I got a copy of 10 Penny Parks, where this is not something I was familiar with. I saw it, and I have to mention how big a fan everybody is with Fun Fair. They're not big fans of Unfun Fair. Or no, I'm sorry. Is it Unfun Fair or Unfair? I think it's Unfair. They're not too keen on the Take That version of the game. They're more into hey, we're just, building our theme parks. And that's what you're doing. Everybody's building a theme park. And this looks really impressive. Looks very cool. So Jess was kind enough to give me all of those goodies. And then when I got home, I had a package from our friends over at Cobalt Press. So I've got Tales of the Valiant Game Masters map folio and the Game Masters book. So I've got the Game Masters guide for Tales of the Valiant. So as you can see, I have got lots to keep me occupied getting video out there. So stay tuned. Like I also just mentioned a few moments ago, I received the releases from Paizo for the month, and there's quite a bit. It's a Starfinder adventure. There's the new adventure for the latest Pathfinder adventure path. There's War of Immortals, which is the big supplement that a lot of people are really excited about. There's a flip mat. There's the remastered spell cards, both the arcane cards and I think they're the primal cards, if I remember correctly. So lots and lots of goodies that you're going to see coverage of. So very nice. Very nice. Let's see what's cooking in chat, because I'm so busy, trying to remember folks I had talked to. So, so Lemon RX must have been when I was sharing the Neon Lords of the Toxic Wasteland. I think that is the title. That just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? Said it looked like Pizza the Hut. Cool. Very cool. All righty. So what are we going to talk about tomorrow? Because there's no show on Thursday. Remember, no show on Thursday. It is my birthday. So I'm going to be celebrating my birthday. It's also my sister-in-law's birthday. And then the next day is my mom's birthday. So we're going to get together at my brother's house to celebrate all 3 of those. So there will not be a show on Thursday, but there is one tomorrow. So I'm kind of banging around what the topic should be. And I'm curious, should we do why most RPG hotness turns out not so hot? And I mean, the reality is it's just going to be kind of off the cuff. It's not like I'm going to be like, well, these statistics show It just feels like that. It feels like there's always a role-playing game that everybody's all excited about, and it's almost always a crowdfunding project that people are like, oh, you got to get this. And then it comes out and it's sort of like, not only does it kind of be like, as far as like sales, or even, it's like, it's all right. And then there's never anything released for it again. It's sort of like, okay, well, here's the stuff that was in the Kickstarter, and that got delivered, and that's it. So, Gleeman RX says, it could be a big topic. Yeah, it could. Daryl Arrett says, fading fads. Yeah, but the thing is, I don't keep my finger on the pulse of like things that are like the hotness all that well. So I don't know. Sean O'Donnell says, yeah, for those of us without the time or confidence to make our own adventures, it's pretty annoying to have a good game not get support. Maybe we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that, because then I don't have to pick on, oh, well, how come, like I'll give you an example, and then we're going to wrap up. A game that I would say would fall into the topic of, it was hot. It was, people were all talking about it, and it came out and it's like, poof. And that was, isn't the title Candela Obscura? It's a horror role-playing game. And I don't hear anything about it. And it's out. I mean, it's been out for a bit. It's not like it's like, oh, well, it's out in PDF, just hasn't shipped to backers yet. As far as I understand, the backers got their copies. But that was a game that was, as Daryl points out, so hyped games that don't meet expectations. Sean O'Donnell says, yep, that's the Darrington Press game. Yeah, it was sort of like, and funny enough, I shared a news piece about it, but it was not something that I was like, oh yeah, whoa, got to check that out. And Gleeman RX says, yeah, it's Obscura, all right. Well, the funny thing is, I honestly think that if you are going to try to do a horror role-playing game, couple of things. One, you can't approach it all, where it's like, oh, I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want, upset anybody. I don't want to trigger anybody. It's a horror role-playing game. And I'm not saying you want to trigger people, but the whole point of horror is to be uncomfortable, right? That gets the adrenaline going, right? That's why you watch horror movies, and you're like, ooh, right? It's not like, oh, I don't want to get scared. Let's watch that horror movie because I don't want to get scared. So I think that's one problem. And then the second problem is, if you're going to do it, then you better be able to take aim at like the big games in the genre. That you're like, okay, we're hunting for bear here. So if you're going to do like a Lovecraftian horror game, well, then you better be prepared to take aim at Call of Cthulhu. So I honestly think that Pelgrane Press, with their second edition of Trail of Cthulhu, now would that outsell Call of Cthulhu? Absolutely not. I mean, let's not be silly here. But I do think that they realize that it's like, you know what? We really got to stand out as far as this game. It's a Lovecraftian horror game. There are so many of them out there. So I think, like I said, but you can't make a horror role-playing game where it's sort of like, oh, everybody's got an X card in front of them. If that's the case, then, go in a different direction as far as your topic. Go like dark fantasy or, some like grim dark science fiction, something like that. Kevin R. Smith says, horror games are extremely effective in the triggering of the easily triggered. So if you're one of those, do everybody a favor, don't play. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I agree. Gloomid RX says, not to change topics. How dare you change our topic? Says, but Castles and Crusades seriously needs a Menser BECMI style noob starter set. You know what? I'm going to disagree with you on that. And the reason behind that is if you normally, at least kind of in my opinion, normally the successful starter sets that are out there are for games that have multiple core books, which you need, and games that are introducing relatively different mechanics than people are used to, right? So as an example, looking at Call of Cthulhu, I know, can you run the game just with the Keeper's Rulebook? Yes. Yes, you can. Should you have the Investigator's Handbook or Investigator's Guide? Yes. Yes, you should have it. Pendragon starter set, a little bit different, but it is also looking to introduce a system of mechanics which are different. Even though it's still basic role-playing, it's not percentile based. And of course, then you throw in the traits and the passions and things like that. So that is different. Pathfinder beginner box. Same thing. It's a game that has multiple books that you really need to have. Thing with Castles and Crusades is you get the player's handbook and you're done. If you have a monster manual for just about any fantasy role-playing game from OD&D through retro clones, even today, like as an example, I know the Monster Overhaul, which I would love to have an opportunity to check out, is really popular. A lot of people really like it. If you wanted, that could be your monster manual for Castles and Crusades, because porting over stuff from other D20 based kind of old school games, super easy. So, so like I said, I kind of disagree because really everything you need is right there in that player's handbook. Now, could it be laid out more intuitively? Would it be nice to have a section that kind of introduces you to the core mechanics of the game before you get to like the Castle Keeper section? Hell yeah. Yep, I would say that is correct. But as far as starter set, I don't know. I don't know. You know what might not be a bad idea is to have Castles and Crusades, the fine folks over at Troll Lord Games, if they want to do a starter box, do the player's handbook, Monsters and Treasures, which I saw somebody had mentioned that there were 2 errors in the first monster they looked at in the new Reforged edition. I was like, oh gosh. I was like, please don't let that be the case. I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, typos and stuff, whatever. I know sometimes they're kind of jarring, but it's a typo. It's not that big a deal. when you see weird layouts, that throws me. So, or if just a lot of grammatical errors, that bugs me. Typos, they happen. They happen. Sean O'Donnell says, one thing the Pathfinder 2nd Edition beginner box has is an adventure explicitly designed to take players through core concepts and ascending complexity. That's what Castles and Crusades needs. So it's really the adventure. And yes, I would agree with you on that. And you will find normally starter sets do that. The D&D starter sets, the Essentials kit, which was a starter set, their adventures all do that. One thing that's a little bit different is the Call of Cthulhu starter set, because out of the starter sets, that's really got the most adventuring in it. Because off the top of my head, if I remember correctly, I think there's an introductory adventure, the solo adventure, to introduce you to the concepts of Call of Cthulhu. But then the adventure book has 3 previously published adventures in it, including Dead Man's Stomp by Chris Spivey, which is an excellent adventure. Anyway, all righty then. It's a pretty long show. I honestly thought this. I almost said actually and honestly at the same time. So it started coming out. I actually didn't think it was going to be that long of a show, but kind of surprised. All right. So yes. So tomorrow's topic will be we'll talk about why it's important to have published adventures for your role-playing game. Because yes, I know a lot of people out there talk about how they homebrew. I will admit there are more people who say they homebrew than actually do homebrew. I know that for a fact. Because I've had people tell me, oh, no, oh, yeah, I did this adventure, and it's like blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, wait a second. I did a news piece about that adventure for a different game. It's like, so anyway, so yeah, we'll talk about that. The importance, we'll call it the importance of published RPG adventures. There we go. There we have it. All righty, that's it for this time out. If you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. If you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell. It'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. It'll also inform you when I share other videos, such as today's review of Call of Cthulhu, No Time to Scream, which is actually arriving in stores on the 23rd. Funny enough, already shot the video, did the editing, had it uploaded, and then Chaosium announced it was going to be on sale this month rather than next, because they kept saying it was coming out in November, and Amazon said, oh, November 30th is when they would have it. So lovely and talented Sarah D was with us in chat. Bradley Thorpe said, hey, I just want to say they bought the Pathfinder Bestiary. Hopefully you're enjoying it. Yeah, Jeff, I bought it. Damn you. You liar. How dare you say that was good? Just teasing. So if you're watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, tip of the cap to you. Because not only were you keeping me company, you were keeping each other company as well. But of course, I know a lot of folks out there, they don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you for taking time out to watch any of the over 2,000 videos here on the Gaming Gang channel. Yay. Everybody enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. I shall be back tomorrow. Yes, once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thanks for watching, and I certainly hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.